Welcome to the April 19th, 5 o'clock work session to discuss tarping and litter waste, brought to us by Mr. Kevin Barkley.
Yes, sir.
Take off.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Just wanted to update you on where we're at and what we have done with the tarping and litter issues that are come about here most recently. With me is Amanda Carlin, my environmental compliance manager, who's also help us out here, explain to you what we're doing. But a lot of litter and materials get seen in the wintertime. The vegetation dies back. You do see a lot more materials out there in the streets. It's not to say that there's a lot more out there. You just happen to see it because everything is brown or black or something other than the white and yellow and the blues that you see out there in the litter, in the cans and all that. So litter is a problem. It's been a problem. It's a problem throughout the whole United States. Well, what we're trying to do and address it is the way we're handling it is what I'm going to go through and speak to you about this afternoon. The tarping code actually comes out of covering loads. No person will operate a load or any vehicle on the public streets and roads of this county unless the vehicle is constructed, loaded, and securely covered to prevent any of its load from dropping, escaping, or shifting in such a manner to create a safety hazard, or in such a manner so that as to litter the streets and the roads of the county. This is a moving violation. There's nothing in our county code for the solid waste department that requires tarping of loads. But it is a moving violation code for that. Mark can talk to you about the litter control. There is a litter control law that says you can't litter on your neighbor's property. If you have litter on your property and it blows onto your neighbor's property, that's just as bad as if you took it over there and dropped it on their property. But there's nothing in the solid waste code that shows that it's a tarping situation for our department. Georgia state law is also a moving violation. Again, it's about vehicles on the highway that are loaded have to be covered or secured so they do not prevent it from escaping. And I should have here.
Well, just looking at that doesn't require tarping.
So the moving violation law does. It does require this.
Look at that. Somebody's going down me. I got my little trailer and I got all kind of limbs and yard debris and whatnot. And I got it strapped down, not tarped. Then am I a moving violation?
I mean, that's a judgment call. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Well, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm going to enforcement. It all lends itself to enforcement. If it's not definitive, because it says right there, constructed or loaded or covered.
Correct.
If I've got it loaded correctly and I got it tied down, and of course, you're going down the road down at 40, 50 mile an hour or whatever, you may not see a limb or something blow off, but it's still possible. But the fact that it's not tarped does not make it a moving violation in and of itself.
Correct. And a lot of times people will show up with furniture and it'll be strapped down, but it will not be tarped. So secured.
That's what I'm saying. It's and who would enforce this?
Well, it can be enforced by the police officer, sheriff, local police or sheriff, or even state patrol, or I'm sure DOT. Georgia Highway 110 is a state highway, so it could be open to any of those jurisdictions.
Any law enforcement.
Exactly. So, but the other thing is they have to see it. They have to see it to cite it.
I agree.
So
they have to see something fly off, or they have to see an unsecured load. Let's put it that way. Whether it's tied or strapped or.
right.
Now I've seen some of the commercial vehicles with trailers constructed in such a way they're tall enough, they got back and they kind of it makes it a little more conducive for hauling that.
Right.
Whereas my little utility trailer, I have to
So-
tie it down pretty hard.
Right, and that's our pictures here. This load was rejected because we gave the, gentleman here, 2 hours to tarp that load before he came in the third time. And so this time we did reject him, for that. So, he went back out, got himself a tarp and was back at the landfill within a couple hours. So,
Do we have a policy on that at the landfill?
and, we do not have an official policy, but what we're doing is using our best judgment to ask people, and I'll go through this and explain to you some more, that if we ask you to do this, we expect you to follow it in a reasonable amount of time. We're not saying right this instant or anything like that. So we're gonna educate you and we're gonna train you and
I
we're
understand
gonna
that,
work
but
with
At
you.
the same time, if we don't have a policy or some code or whatever
Exactly.
that says you pull into the landfill and your load is untarped, I mean, are we being more restrictive than the state, saying everything has to be tarped, or like you said, it goes back to that judgment call? Now, what I'm looking at there, it's like
It's
just
a lot of,
bunch debris out of a clearing or yard or
right,
whatever.
it's a lot of yard waste and there was a lot of soil and stuff mixed in with it also. So they are losing, sand and grit as they're coming down the road. So, but, for that,
Tarping's
but,
not gonna stop that anyway, but
well,
it would keep limbs and,
right,
I
So-
guess it all lends itself to enforcement. If you reject that guy, what are you rejecting because, look, we told you to get it tarped. He's gonna come back and he may have recourse and look, there's no policy, there's no law that says I gotta have this thing tarped.
true,
So, yeah, I'm going
Right.
to, it may give recourse for them to come against the landfill or the county.
but we're asking for their cooperation. It's not like we're being heavy-handed about this. He was very nice because he knew he had already been asked twice to do it. But he was working for somebody else and, I guess he was just being the driver of the situation. So he went back and got with his, company or boss and they got a tarp and they got it on there.
But he's the
Uh,
one that is, but he is the
He is
operator
the-
of that vehicle, be the
he-
one.
Responsible party
Okay.
for that. So the other thing is they lose a lot of, waste on our roads too, inside the landfill. It'll shake on those bumps and everything
Oh,
going
yeah.
up the hill. So, part of our policy is that we want to keep our roads clean inside the landfill. So,
Chairman, originally when all this came about many years ago, Judge Green was our county attorney.
Go to history on this.
I know a lot of this, the signs were, that all those must be tarred. We followed under state law as far as citing them if we had to,
Right,
which our code enforcement was authorized to do, cite for littering. Because it falls under state law, we fall under state law.
right.
So the ordinance is there, basically saying that under state law that you cannot transport a load without it being tarred or secured. And when it comes to yard debris and limbs and all, it's almost impossible to tarp somebody. Strapping it down, they'll do the same thing.
Right.
That's a judge.
That's what I was, that's what I
Judgment
was
call.
getting to. You can't just say, it's gotta be tarped,
Right.
period.
Right.
no, we're not trying to do that either. There's no zero tolerance or anything like that. We want to educate and train and work with our customers, the best we can. So, let me show you this one. This is what we get a lot of. It's, residential coming in with a small lawnmower trailer. Nothing scares me more than going down the road following a trailer like this with roofing on it. Because that's got an expanded metal bottom with all those roofing nails falling on the highway as they're going down through there.
Well, just wait till I go by, cause I'll get them all.
Yeah. But this, gentleman, I actually talked to him and asked him if I could take a picture and, explain to him what, he says, first time he ever been to the landfill, new to the area. He was just doing some spring cleaning. So we gave him the information. We've been passing out, these little flyers to him. We color code them and different things to hand them to them. So they understand that, we're just asking them for, to keep the highway clean and keep inside the landfill roads clean and not to allow anything to fall off as they're coming to us. So, Again, here's one, about the same size trailer, different vehicle, already tarped. Came in the same day, maybe a couple hours later, so. Resident already been out there before and knew that we required tarps and different things, so he had one on there, so when he brought this load out, he was ready to go. So. So the word is getting out and we're doing a better job of working with them. Amanda and Mark had come out there and, I'll let them talk to you of what they've encountered with the residents too. When we started this, we started keeping some numbers. Less than 20% of the people from out of county were tarping before we, kept these, numbers. It was just over 50% of the customers coming in from our county, Camden County, that were tarping. It got out the next week, you know, we were up over 80% and then found we could drop back a little bit, just under 70%. So, we'll keep tracking some numbers here. We've had some people on vacation and out of the office. But as you can see, the out of county people, we're getting about 3-to-1 ratio when it comes to Camden County versus out of county residents. So there's, you know, twice or 3 times as many Camden County. So they know what to expect. With the out of county, I'm surprised how fast it actually increased. But a lot of those residents are the same ones over and over. So once we got
You
into
gotta
them,
figure,
they understand what we
If
expect.
you're coming from out of county, you're going a greater distance, and you don't wanna run the risk
Right.
of having to drive
Well,
way back,
well,
so you figure,
Less than 20% when we started though, but
right.
you know. We also put up the signs out there at both the MSW and the CND, coming and going from the scales. We'd like to see that. Also on the left-hand side there, that comes out of our, off our webpage. We added to our webpage also that we require people to tarp and secure their loads. Because a lot of people coming out nowadays will, say they went to the internet and they didn't find anything, so. Sure enough, so we had
Now, go ahead and inform
so-
Trevor that during our discussions, that me and these ladies, we made him tarp czar.
So,
It's all his responsibility now.
and,
I can handle it.
so, so with that too, you know, we've had a lot of good people show up, especially off the base. And they have taken these flyers out there to the base and, spread the word, that people coming out and, everything. They said, oh, if we knew this, we would have been doing it all the time. So we're just helping spread the word. I actually seen this on one of our, social media pages, you know, and in the discussion from the residents, you know, pro and, against, or pro and, con against tarping. You know, if they turn me around, I'm just gonna take it outside the gate and dump it. Well, that's probably what they're gonna do, so I agree. So that's what, we don't wanna turn people away either, so, they'll find a back road or a swamp or a ditch, and there it goes. So we don't wanna do that. We much rather educate them and train them to do it the right way, for that, so. So with that, I think the word's getting out a little bit more and more, and we're continuing to talk to the residents and speak to them as they come in if they don't have anything secured or tarped. So,
Based on what y'all see, the most frequent flyers in violation of this, would it be residential or would it be commercial people?
it's not really the commercial though, because the commercial folks all have tarps and are required to tarp, you know, for that. Now, do they get going too fast and it blows out underneath their tarp? Yeah, they do, so. But they are tarped, you know? So it also says if it's tarped, it also has to be secured. So that's why I'm saying it's a judgment call, even with a law enforcement, you know, on what that is. And, you know, did he see it fly off the vehicle or did he see the vehicle drive over that material? You know, so he can't just assume that it's, flew off the vehicle if it, by chance it was on the highway when he drove past it.
Yeah.
So, with that, so. But, I want to let Amanda, and Mark talk to you here too. Let Amanda bring you up to date on some of the things that we're doing as far as the litter and, keep Georgia beautiful right quick. And then I'll have Mark talk to you about illegal dumping and, litter prevention in the county.
Make a comment about the signs. You probably need to put one out still
Yeah, that's starting to be a problem.
And should that be tarp or secured,
So,
or secured?
so,
They're saying it has to be tarp regardless.
and secured. It says and.
I know, but it needs to be,
Oh.
it doesn't have to be necessarily tarped. So it's tarped and or secured.
It could,
Wondering
yeah.
that, you know, just having it, just like you said, having it tied down would be more than sufficient, so. You pull up in there with your chair, your old sofa, you throw it away. I mean, well, have I got to have that tarp? No, it's
No.
and or, just.
Unless you're a commercial user, you've got to be tarped. By GDOT standards. Very old steel.
One of the bigger problems with the commercial loads is when they untarp and unload, if everything doesn't come out, sheets of paper blow out then going down through.
That's right.
After they leave the site.
True.
Right.
They're legal coming in. They're legal when they leave the gate because they hadn't dumped anything, but when they hit the highway, that's when they become illegal because a sheet of paper will come out of a 40-yard just as quick as it'll
Yep.
come out the back of a pickup.
So, Ms. Amanda.
All right. So we're doing a few things, even beyond Highway 110, through Keep Camden Beautiful, which, as a reminder, it's this organization within the county that's,
You pull that mic just a little.
yeah, of course.
Thing.
Is this better?
Not really.
All right,
Pull it right up to your mouth.
all right.
Just, yeah, just, you're soft spoken, and I am.
I've been told that
Yeah.
before, yeah. All right, so just, I'm gonna repeat what I just said, just in case anybody missed what I said. We're doing, some litter education even beyond our little highway that we're responsible for and been, but on county with Keep Camden Beautiful, which again is a, organization within the county that one of the things it's focused on is litter education and prevention. So one of the things I have been doing is a little survey going around the county and choosing 5 focus areas of what is the litter like across the county. And that is part of the requirement of becoming officially affiliated with Keep America Beautiful. Additionally, we are also helping people, such as through Adopt Their Highway program, providing them with supplies to keep up with their engagement with the highway pickups. And just today I gave this person some gloves, some litter pickup garbage, and some trash bags. And alongside with that, finally, what we're doing, for example, this weekend is we're helping the river keepers across multiple counties that are going to be picking up litter. And so we're focusing, of course, within Camden County, but we are going to be supplying them a place to dump their waste, and we'll helping them pick that up so it all gets put where it should be.
So, tell them what you found, when you and Mark were out there surveying the residents.
Yeah, so we had situated ourselves on the MSW side, the municipal solid waste side. And what we did is whenever a resident came by, whether they were tarped or not, we just talked to them, said, hey, especially the ones that were on tarp, say, hey, this is state law that you have to be tarped and secured. And they were just, honestly, a good portion of them were just fine with it. They said that they weren't aware that it was a law that they had to do it, a good portion of them. And so, and quite a few of them were like, okay, yeah, we'll definitely do that next time. And so the feedback has been positive.
So, Mark, would you like to come forward?
So I didn't have a pretty presentation for you tonight, but I'll be glad to try and answer any questions you might have. And most of what you've already heard is what I can tell you is it's a moving violation. So code is kind of hard because just like if I could enforce laws, I'd have to see them do it. It's everywhere. It's just not on Highway 40 and 110. If we turn people around at the gate at the landfill, it's gonna wind up on the dirt road. When that happens, now it's road department has to get involved because they have the equipment to go out and pick up trash like that. We had one recently and he was actually prosecuted by DNR because they put it in the woods and it was somebody trying to flip a house, had a tandem axle trailer full of trash and dumped it on Oakwell. landfill was open that day, so I think this is always gonna be a problem. The question I have is there a mechanism that we could just go ahead and litter pickup on those two main routes through the enterprise fund? It's always gonna be there. I mean, I don't think there is a magic solution to stop this stuff from blowing out of, like Laney said, even the commercial trucks going back to town, it's blowing out of their trucks.
No, I don't disagree, and I guess that was part of the reasoning of my earlier talks. While we all want it to be litter-free, but practically speaking, you know, I've tied things down, I've tarped things down, then I've caught a little limb. A small limb, and I say small, you can hit it, you can walk over it, but still something blowing off your trailer, it's not gonna last long, it's gonna get mowed up or gone. It's the litter, I think, is what really torques people up. You know, some of the trucks that were, you know, packed so tight, you see papers hanging out the doors and, you know, it's like Laney said, they go in there and they dump. And then when they come out, you know, it's loosened up and even after they've dumped, it still blows off. So it's just, you always start with these litter picking up campaigns and people say, well, I ain't gonna worry about it now. So they're picking it up, but, I don't know, I'm not certainly suggesting that I have a good idea for it, other than what you're doing. People coming into the landfill, you know, making everyone aware that it is state law, that it is a moving violation, that you do have the right to refuse your dumping here if you're in violation or what you deem to be, and it's like you said, it's a judgment call. And I would think most people, they knew that when they left their home, they thought, I'll just take it easy. I'll get there best I can, but most people will comply or try. And I think short of that, I mean, there's nothing, you can't be out writing tickets for code enforcement for it, can you?
No, sir.
So it'd have to be law enforcement, you know, someone who's, I guess, post-certified with arrest powers to enforce that state law. And as far as this county policy, which is obviously stated here, once again, that would have to be law. I mean, there's not, our code enforcement couldn't do it. I mean, I guess that's kind of a question to some degree. I don't know. If you're standing at the landfill, and somebody pulls in without a tarp, what's he gonna cover? What do you give a citation?
And the citations that I generally write are nuisance, like we said earlier, it's usually neighbors complaining about a neighbor who has trash in their yard that's blown over on somebody else's yard. And the process is we write them a citation, court is every other month. They go to court, and if they request a certain type of trial, then we don't even handle it. It gets dismissed. And people.
If they request a jury trial, is what it is.
Correct.
Yeah, we understand.
If they don't pay their fine, then we put a lien against their property. So I don't know how that would work if we find somebody and they didn't pay their fine, then what are we accomplishing?
No, I understand. You know, whatever we do, I want it to be, the end result to be effective and
Right.
minimizing it. Not creating a bunch of uncollectible fines and a bunch of paperwork that's never gonna go anywhere. So I don't know what action the board would take to, make this better or different. I mean, as Laney pointed out earlier, I mean, as you pointed out earlier, they're already on the books. It's just maybe you guys at the landfill That's, you know, just puts the burden on you to be a little more, you get to be the jackass in the barn, I guess. And, you know, you're the one calling them out on it, because you're the one seeing it. You know, people ride down the road, see it, well, you know, some people may call in, oh, there's a truck going down the road, trash blowing everywhere. But then that goes to the law enforcement. And of course, they gotta be able to catch them before they get somewhere. So, I mean, just a lot of logistical issues.
Yeah, we call us and tell us that somebody's coming in, you know, and describe the vehicle and that they lost some debris on Highway 40 or 110. You know, we'll tell it there, you know, hey, we just got a report that you lost some debris, but, you know, do they go back and pick it up? Probably not, you know. Amanda and I and our staff, we picked up Highway 10 numerous times, you know, in that area down there, from Highway 40 on past, up there to, a couple miles past the MSW landfill, you know, but you go out there right now and you'll find, you know, plastic and containers and all
Oh,
those things.
I get it. I know where I live, you get off of these exits. I mean, it's absolutely amazing to me that people will be coming loop around, there'll be a whole bag of Burger King or Chick-fil-A, or it's just thrown out. Personally, I think you'll be able to shoot their tires at least, as
Yeah.
a minimum, but
And Glenn County has a good
Sheriff doesn't
program.
agree with me on that.
Yeah, Glenn County has a good program. If you ever listen to any of the radio stations up in Glenn County, they do advertise the Keep America and Keep Glenn Beautiful advertisements. They talking about don't turn your beach into an ashtray, and cigarette butts are the number one thing that people litter, different things. So, you know, we're not there yet, but eventually we'd like to be out there and, you know, getting that word out. But it really comes down to, you know, it's how were people raised and what are they gonna do, you know? They gonna treat it like a dump out there on the highways, or are they gonna take care of it and treat it like a nice, pristine, you know, wetlands that it is?
I think, you know, having the signs, commenting to people, just putting it out there, just, you know, everybody gets in a hurry, you're cleaning your garage, or you're cleaning your thing, and I'm just gonna scoot out to the landfill and, you know,
Right.
just try to bring more awareness to it. You know, like you say, you got some individual pulling there with a half-loaded truck of junk out of his garage, or he's tore down some shed or whatever, and you say, can't come in, he's gonna be like, fine. He's gonna pull out of there, find a road on Trevor's property somewhere and dump it.
That's it.
That's generally what happens. You know, like you said, down the dirt, they'll find a dirt road, they think they just throw it out there in the ditch somewhere and say heck with it.
Right.
And,
And that's the same thing too with tires. People don't realize that tires are a big burden, and we do take tires from Camden County residents, you know, so we do allow them to bring those in and dispose of them, so.
I have some folks that deal with that, and tires is a huge problem.
Right.
You let them collect up, and it's a huge problem
Huge problem.
and expensive.
Yes,
So they supposedly collect that fee, you know, to, properly get rid of them, but most don't.
exactly.
Any of it,
Is there any questions from anybody else?
anybody got it?
I had I talked to the sheriff, this has been several years ago. I had him get some of his inmates cleaned up. At that time, he said he'd be willing to do it, but it's gonna take extra funding to have his people out there watching the inmates do it.
Well, there
He's
you
done
go.
that several times.
Well, he's come to the landfill and helped us before we let abatement out there, cleaned up and everything through the years, and he's never said no. They always willing to help, but he don't want to put a full-time crew doing it unless we fund it.
Exactly.
Well, you know, then, is that an option that anyone would want to explore? Getting in touch with the sheriff to put I know they used to have, I don't know if they still do, do they still have crews that go out and clean areas or do stuff like that like they used to?
We have one supervisor and usually three inmates. But
Oh,
they-
What was the big fella's name that used to do it? I forget, I can't think of it.
Chad Palmer.
Huh?
Chad Palmer.
Yeah,
One now is O'Neill.
Yeah.
He handles the, crew that goes out, but there's usually only about 3 people, inmates. Go with it. You know, they clean up a roadway and come back a day later, strong again.
oh, I believe me, I've seen some of these interchanges. You know, they got these citizens group or, you know, some of the folks off the Navy, one of the boat crews, whatever, will come out. You come, oh, that looks nice, the next thing, everybody. People, it just, I don't know.
Are there additional inmates that would qualify for that type of program if the supervision was there?
You probably have a few that you would need supervision.
Now, the problem is you're gonna need a vehicle, you're gonna need a trailer, they'll need supplies, and they're gonna need supervision. And the whole, you set up a crew, like any other crew. And then if we were to go that route, then, you know, or to fund something like that, we'd have to say, look, we want these roads or that area, or, you know, have a specific.
Well, we don't do the interstates because the interstates are in contract, OMB.
Right. Well, I understand that, but I mean, what if we were looking to focus on some areas, you know,
Well, even like 110, it's a state highway, state road, right, maintained, but we would,
Yes.
if we could work out something like that, we could supplement it, you know, because they only come once a year to.
I don't know, does the state,
They're coming through about 3 times. I saw them last week on Highway 40. So I imagine they'll be coming down Highway 110 next, for that. But about 3 times a
like
year they
Trevor
come
said,
through.
could we reach out to them and see what it would to expand that service or theirs, or could we supplement it somehow or another, or what? I don't know.
That might be more of a Shalina question than
It might be, yeah,
for me.
and I don't see her. But, you know, maybe reach out to Shalana and just see what, I haven't, or Scott. Scott's constantly dealing with the DOT, and I'm sure it's not exactly in the area that he's focusing on right now, but he certainly sit with and see the folks that do pull the levers of power there.
Well, I don't think the DOT would have the problem with us going out there and picking up trash.
No, you're probably right, and they may, they may have, you know, maybe, they may have equipment, they may say, well, you know, we got equipment if you can put together, who knows, I don't know.
But
If you don't ask, you never get told.
my past experience has been, do you believe it or not, they have all sorts of rules and regs, and they do have some problems with us picking up on their right of way, so,
That wouldn't overly shock me.
yeah, I mean, but you would have to get the details of that. I knew when I was working in Bibb County, it was unreal. I mean,
Yeah,
what you try to do and what you could do.
I think it's something that you need to reach out to the DOT and to find out cans and can'ts and do's and don'ts and
Right.
what could be coordinated, what can be supplemented, if anything. And if they say, look, we're doing what we're doing, you do all you wanna do and that's it, okay, then we know what to do. And, you know, if at some point we want to look at, you know, if the sheriff wants to utilize some inmate labor, what it would take to put a crew together for that, and then have, just like anything else, say, you know, want these roads done on this frequency or whatever, be specific. And then go from there. So I think the first thing to do is reach out to DOT and find out, you know, is there any strings or
Right.
rules or you have to not get a sideways.
Right. But any of the Camden County roads, we could do.
Are we having, I mean, I know it's everywhere, but obviously we can't just pick up the whole county all the time. I know there was a big push one time, you'd have various civic groups would take responsibility for roads and, folks that live in, even out in the county in some of the subdivision areas would, maintain their area. I don't know, if you coordinate something like that, or,
And that's what we're trying to coordinate with Keep
Okay.
Camden Beautiful. We're not there yet, we're still working to get us accredited but eventually, that's where we want to get it to be.
okay,
We had to adopt the highway for many years around here.
yeah, that's what
Yeah.
Adopt the highway, even the base participated in
Right.
that and everything.
Right.
So,
We had it, we also did the Great American Cleanup. Tell you a cute story about that. We were picking up Refuge Road out here one Saturday. We had the road pretty well picked up. Truck comes by, blows the horn about a quarter of a mile down the road, throws a big bag of trash out. They want to make sure we seen them throwing it out. We were out there walking, picking up trash. So it shows you how much respect they have for the county they live in.
well, you got jackasses everywhere.
So true.
Well, has anybody else got anything to add, take away, or question these guys on? Somebody, maybe I'll get with Shalana and ask her, if she would make inquiry on her end, and, just see what the parameters are.
yeah, I can reach out to her.
Okay, that'd be great. Just let us know. And then, if it's something the board can do, but, it's like it's been stated, it's on the books. So. Anybody got anything else? That's it. Thank you. Welcome to the Tuesday, April 19th regular meeting of the County Board of Commissioners. If you'll all stand, we're gonna have the invocation by Commissioner Brown, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Father, we're so blessed to be together this evening to do the business of Camden County. Father, we just ask for wisdom and guidance in the decisions that we make. Father, continue to bless those that protect us, whether it be here or abroad. This we pray in your most glorious name. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Everybody, mute their phones and watches and whatnot. That'd be great. Roll call, Ms. Bishop.
All commissioners are present.
All right, seeing no agenda amendments, could I get a,
Oh, there is an agenda.
I'm sorry?
There is an agenda.
Oh, there is?
The
Yeah.
Make a motion to amend the agenda to add the presentation proclamation.
Second.
All those in favor? I must be open, I opened the newest one apparently.
No, this coming up today.
It still looks the same.
It's okay. I can handle it. All right. Can we get a motion out on the adoption of the amended agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? We have an agenda. This time you've had the opportunity to look at the April 5th public hearing and regular meeting minutes. Are there any corrections, addendums? If not, could I get a motion?
Make a motion. So they, public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries. This time we've got
First.
this time we'll do the proclamation. You gonna read that?
Yes, sir. Tonight, we have a proclamation recognizing the week of April 24th through the 30th, 2022 as Camden County Crime Victims' Rights. Now therefore be it proclaimed, the Camden County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim the week of April 24th through the 30th, 2022 as National Crime Victims' Rights Week, and reaffirm Camden County's commitment to creating a victim service and criminal justice response that assists all victims of crime during National Crime Victims' Rights Week throughout the year, and to express our sincere gratitude and appreciation for those community members, victim service providers, and criminal justice professionals who are committed to improving our response to all victims of crime so that they may find relevant assistance, support, justice, and peace. And we will be sending this over to the DA's office. And next week, they will have an event. I think it's on the 26th at 3 o'clock over at the courthouse for the ceremony.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Bishop. I guess that brings us, are we gonna have, Mr. Boatwright's gonna give us a legislative update?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Is this one on? Can y'all hear me? Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners, and it's my pleasure to bring to you tonight the closure of the 2022 State Legislature Review. As you know, we put forth a list of priorities each year to the state. Some of those were taken up, some of those did not even make the floor to even be discussed. So we'll kind of take a quick review of that, and also some other bills that passed that can affect us, and some bills that did not pass. And if you have any questions as we go through this, feel free to interrupt me at any time. Am I not pressing this right?
Can you turn him up just a little bit?
Yes.
I don't think this is working. Oh, there it is. Now it's working. Thank you. So the very first one, and each of you should have a packet in front of you up there that you can follow along with me. This one was on the list that we had actually submitted as well. This is also part of ACCG, and all of the information I'm speaking about this evening can be found on either ACCG's website. They have several different updates throughout the year assembly process. I also sent you their final update as well. They do have one other final up come out, but this is pretty much everything that's going to be a part of that. So one of the largest bills that was put forth was the Mental Health Parity Act. This is getting Georgia one step closer to being in more compliance with the Mental Health Parity and Addiction Equity Act of 2008. It's a federal bill. This bill itself had 6 different parts. Some of those were the workforce and system development, assisted outpatient treatment, mental health courts and corrections, child and adolescent behavioral health, and then Behavioral Health Reform and Innovation Commission. This requires that the Georgia Data Analytics Center project administrator to prepare an annual report each year of suspected mental health parity violations. There is a significant penalty if found. I think it's $2,000 to $5,000. It's quite significant. It also requires DCH to provide Medicaid coverage for any prescription prescribed to an adult for the treatment of delusion and mood disorders. This also allows health insurance providers to add on coverage for mental health treatments for their spouses or some of their children. There's several other components of this bill. It's a quite lengthy bill, so if you have any further questions on that, again, the details can be found on it or on that final update that I sent to you.
So this passed.
This passed, yes, sir. These passed.
On that requires treatment. I know just in history of dealing with sheriff's office through jail, you know, there are a lot of folks who come in there who are suffering from bipolar, schizophrenia, who do not have medication, who didn't have access to it. So am I to understand at this point now that they unequivocally will have access?
I'm not sure about that specific issue. I know it really talked more so about health insurance providers.
Well, it just says to provide Medicaid coverage.
Yes, if they're under Medicaid, then yes, sir, it would apply. If it's under Medicaid, Medicare.
But, you know, typically you have the 40, 50-year-old, whatever, someone who's not under any health insurance, who's clearly not under Medicaid or Medicare. Does that?
I'm not so sure about that. I'd have to do a little bit more digging into that.
I mean, I think, you know, I think that's probably, we were dealing with this years ago when we had the Criminal Justice Council. We were, you know, trying to get more into that. And there are folks who won't take their medicine, and I've dealt with it with friends and family. Folks who won't take the medicine, even though it's prescribed and have access to it, and then those who would take it, but they can't afford it, they don't have it, they're not on any program. So
Right.
I'm just curious if this would kind of, I think there's a group that falls in the crack here that.
Yeah, I can get with ACCG Legislative Council and ask them and get back to you.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the Mental Health Parity Act? The next one is the annexation bill to revise dispute resolution and arbitration process. This is a bill that ACCG and GMA work congruently on. This bill did pass. It modifies several different features of that process, extending the time period from 30 to 45 days on which we could object if a city chooses to any piece of the county, the splitting the arbitration cost evenly amongst the city and county, unless it's found that the county basically has a non-valid objection to the annexation. Authorizes notification requirements to be delivered by hand or email. Also allowing arbitration panels to postpone the period by which they may conclude their findings and recommendations. Also requires DCA, the Department of Community Affairs, to maintain a public report of the arbitration panel results. This is something that we don't typically have to deal with here locally, but it could affect us in future years coming. Most of the time, our annexations are always friendly. We've never really had any significant disputes that I'm aware of.
Yeah, that was the point I was gonna make, that, you know, just being involved with the city council and here for the past 20 years, I've not known of a conflict, whether it was annexation or de-annexation.
I think where you see the significant issues with this is mostly in your metropolitan areas
Yeah, I was
where
starting to say.
you got counties that are truly becoming fully incorporated. You'll have a city that pops up and wants to incorporate themselves, sometimes even within a city. So it kind of has that arbitration process that then becomes who's going to provide the services, how are those services going to be provided, and who's going to pay for them. So I think this is more so geared towards those areas that are more densely populated, typically around the Atlanta area, but it could affect us in some respects. Elections, this was a hot topic last year, continues to be a hot topic this year. Only one bill ultimately passed, and that basically just allowed the Georgia Bureau of Investigation to investigate any alleged election crimes. There were several bills that did not pass. Those included House Bill 886, which would be securing the ballot paper, House Bill 933, which would have authorized the public to inspect the paper ballots, and then House Bill 975, which would authorize probate judges to shed all election responsibilities. There's still several probate judges in the state that still perform the election responsibilities of that county. We were one just about 4 years ago until we consolidated our Board of Elections. The other one is the Senate Bill.
But he's still involved in the election.
He's still involved to certify, but this is shedding all election responsibilities, so not having to put it on.
Well,
Basically,
that would be a constitutional amendment, I would presume, so that's where it came from.
it would, yes, sir, I believe it would.
Bestowed upon.
Yes, sir, it would require a significant change. Senate Bill 89 was the omnibus election bill 2. The first one was last year. And then Senate Bill 350, which would authorize nonpartisan election for county commissioners. So that one also failed. The next one, which received a significant overwhelming response as far as approval, is the constitutional carry. This allows any person who is considered a lawful weapons carrier to carry a weapon without obtaining a weapons carry permit or license from the probate courts. It still does, you still, like if you're a weapons dealer, if you sell weapons, and let's say that you want to go in and purchase a firearm, if you do not have that weapons carry license, you still have to undergo a background check. That's a federal law. So if you still wanted to carry a license, you can. You just, you would not have to undergo that background check. And it's effective now, so if you wanted to carry now without a weapons carry license, you can.
The advantage of having a license is reciprocal states. You
Yes, sir.
transfer out of state
Reciprocal states.
license.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, just for my clarity, if you have a carry permit and you want to go buy, you don't have to go through the background check.
That's
You
correct.
feel that too.
So if you have the license, you do not have to undergo that background check, but if you
You
don't
know,
have it.
you went through the background check,
Correct.
get the license, as long as you maintained it, then.
Yes, sir, that's correct. The next one is the update on the environmental trust fund legislation. We've always been pretty privy to just supporting this and trying to make sure those funds are dedicated. They did extend the collection sunset dates for the state's hazardous waste management fee to July 1st, 2027. But what did not happen was they did not dedicate the funds for going towards those kinds of activities. Those funds are still subject to state appropriation. So they go to the general fund, and then at some point the state decides that, okay, we need extra money being spent on this this subject or this issue, so then they appropriate the funds to that rather than what they're really intended for.
Which tells you they're collecting more than they're spending on it.
Yes, sir. Is a constitutional amendment. This is a House Resolution 594. This has to go to a referendum. This is not law currently, but this would provide for a temporary property tax relief to properties which are significantly damaged due to a natural disaster and are also within a nationally declared disaster area. So if it's like a hurricane or anything such as that, it also is permissive to both counties and cities if they choose to allow this option. But again, this is not law. This has to go before a vote.
Which vote? Has it gone through the
State,
House?
state vote, statewide.
Has it gone through either House yet?
It has, the House resolution was approved, but it has to be approved by
So it's gotta go through the Senate.
the electorate of the state.
Oh, okay,
Yes, sir.
all right. And let me ask you this. If it goes through the election process, does each county have to adopt it or is it automatically?
It's optional.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not mandated.
No, sir, it's not mandated.
Countywide, county would have to.
No, sir. And it's also the same for boards of education too.
Right.
So these are several other bills that passed. There's several more on that update. These are just some of the ones that I pulled just to cover this evening. House Bill 974, the clerk of court must offer electronic filing. This would not actually take effect until 2024 is whenever they would actually have to provide this, so January 2024. Right now, our clerk of court is already doing electronic filing for plats. This would encompass also mortgages, deeds, any other filing that pertains to real property. So that, again, they don't have to be in compliance until January 1 of 2024. So you basically have a year and a half to get that set up and get that going.
I think Joy Lynn, I know over the years, we've given her a lot of extra funding because she's had to bring some of these unfunded mandates in, but I think she's well on her way to.
She's already doing a lot of electronic filing.
Stuff already.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so this would not be that significant of an update
Right.
for us. The next one is House Bill 997. This is an ad valorem tax exemption of timber equipment and products. This one is not legislation yet because, again, this is also subject to a referendum as well. So it passed, but it has to be voted on by the state as well on whether or not those products are going to be subject for complete tax exemption. House Bill 1372, this is just a revision to the call before you dig law. This basically mandates that cities and counties that have any kind of traffic monitoring devices or that have underground components. So you see a lot of them at your intersections, at your red lights, different things like that. If we have those devices, if a county or city has those, they have to actually go out and do all the locates if a contractor or someone is going to be digging in that area. Just like water, sewer, electrical, anything that we already have or do not have. Senate Bill 884, this allows certified 911 operators to participate in the Peace Officers Annuity Fund, but this is only if and only if that can be funded. If it's not funded, then it dies, and it'll have to be taken up again in the next General Assembly. So that bill is subject to appropriations.
Expand on it, if that can be funded again.
If it's going to be appropriated through this budget, this coming fiscal year. If not, it ceases June 30th.
It ceases what?
It does not take effect and after June, if it doesn't receive appropriations from the state, it doesn't take effect. Senate Bill 345, this is the preemption for local governments to require a vaccination card for services or even access to specific buildings. So again, that's just preempting local governments from trying to adopt any kind of an ordinance or policy for that. We've never faced that issue. Senate Bill 403, this is law enforcement behavioral health specialists and co-responder bill. This basically allows police agencies, sheriffs to contract or work with a behavioral health specialist to work with, I think this is also in line with that, the Mental Health Parity Act, to where if they want to, they can have that behavioral health specialist on scene and work with them on any kind of a mental health situation. So may or may not see some effects from that bill. Senate Bill 404, this is EMS fingerprint records. This basically allows GBI access to any kind of EMS personnel's fingerprints through that process. So like our actual personnel itself, GBI could have access to those fingerprints if they ever needed them for whatever reason,
Or
just to have access.
to our EMS people, not,
Yes, sir.
not the,
Not the, patients, no, sir. Our personnel.
why? You wanna know why?
I don't necessarily know the reason why. I just know it was, that was put forth and it was approved. Some of these are just odd. Senate Bill 438, this is regarding public works construction contracts. This will actually affect us as far as just financial record keeping and project management. But the retainage percentage was reduced to 5% for the life of the project. You can retain 10%, and this is now reducing that retainage to 5%.
10%'s been there forever.
It has. So now it's going to be changing to 5% for the entire life of the project. And then the last bill is Senate Bill 505. There's training for 911 officers. This is requiring training for telephone cardiopulmonary resuscitation. So basically, if you call it over to 911, they would have training on how to instruct that individual to perform CPR over the phone. So this is requiring training for all 911 officers. So these are some of the study committees that were approved. House Resolution 1082. This is a House Study Committee on state and local law enforcement salaries. Again, this is something that every city, county, sheriff, police, and state law enforcement is having to deal with. So that they're going to be all of the salaries for state and local law enforcement. House Resolution 1149, this is the Housing Affordability Study Committee, something that actually I believe the city of St. Mary's has conducted here recently. And then the Senate Resolution 463, this is a Joint Study Committee on the electrification of transportation. So basically all of your electric vehicles, looking at that. And then Senate Resolution 659 for unsheltered homelessness. This is something that we don't deal with extremely a whole lot within the county, but it is an issue for us. I believe just about every county out there has some homelessness that they have in their community. And then Senate Resolution 741, the creation of a Georgia Cybersecurity Force. And you probably already know of the cybersecurity center that was in Augusta that they built. It's a beautiful facility. If you ever get the chance to tour it, highly recommend it. It's a really nice facility. And then these are some of the bills that failed to pass. Some of these we were opposed to, one of which was House Bill 496, which was the truck weight increase. That was actually there last year. They brought it back this year, still wanting the same amount of weight, but they removed the third axle. So remember last year they wanted 105,000 pounds with a 5% variance, but they were wanting to add the third axle to kind of sparse out some of the weight. Well, this year they wanted the same weight, but only the same amount of axles that they currently have. So just 2 axles in the back, which would have significantly increased the weights just on those 2 axles. So that bill did fail. Another bill that received a lot of feedback from a lot of local governments was House Bill 302, which was building permitting and inspection fees. This would significantly alter our building fees. Just about every planning and zoning's inspection fees out there, it would significantly raise those fees. So that bill passed. House Bill 1224, which is an ad valorem tax. This would have authorized the hearing officer as a route of appeal for a personal property assessment, basically kind of sidestepping the Board of Equalization in some respects. House Bill 1280 and Senate Bill 584 dealt primarily with the tax commissioner. House Bill 1329 was for the coroner, and Senate Bill 183 was for the sheriff. And those basically mostly dealt with, at least for the coroner and sheriff, mostly dealt with pay. The tax commissioner was just some different avenues for their operations themselves, and mostly just the agreements that they have with cities for collection of taxes. House Bill 1388, the legal organ alternative procedure. That's something that was brought up here as far as just different alternatives for how we can post or not post within the legal organ. House Resolution 756, that's another ad valorem tax. This would have provided for a referendum to allow a rate reduction for the sale of harvest or harvest of timber, which we currently deal with right now. So this would have allowed a further rate reduction than what they already have. So the timber companies were pretty strong at this General Assembly, trying to get some extra rate reductions and exemptions as far as ad valorem tax goes.
We have a problem trying to collect it all, trying to find it all.
That's right, yeah. And then Senate Bill 142, this has been brought up a few times. This would have authorized sports betting within Georgia. And Senate Bill 171, this would have removed the sovereign immunity from counties. So that would have had a significant impact to us there. And then the last one is Senate Bill 516, which is a solid waste trust fund. This is a tire fee that would have been collected from distributors, and 10% of those funds would have been intended for tire-related purposes, whether it was the disposition of tires, changing or transportation of tires, what have you. And that concludes my update. Again, I sent each of you the ACCG update, the final update. There's also a video that you can watch where the legislative team actually gets down a little bit into more detail on some of these items. They cover a lot more items. There's several more bills out there that either passed or failed. Some of those were not privy to counties, so you may not see those on there. But if you have any other further questions, I'd be more than happy to take those now.
I asked mine as you went through, so I don't have it. You guys have any?
I sat in on all of them, so I don't need to.
Yeah, you do. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, this brings us to our first public comment section regarding items on the agenda. Do we have anyone registered?
No, sir, not for the first, but I do for the second.
Is there anyone desiring to make comments at this time to the board? If you do, sir, please step up to the microphone, give us your name and address.
Is it about?
Is it on something on the agenda?
No, I had understood that there was no one on that section of the agenda. Mine is for the seconds.
The second.
Okay, yeah, well, there'll be a second one, yes, okay. All right, at this point, could I get a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and convene a public hearing?
Make a motion to adjourn the regular meeting to be a public hearing.
We have a first and a second, all those in favor? Motion carries. Mr. Yakabachi, what you got for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here to consider a request for a transfer of alcohol license from Michael Botkin Campgrounds of America Incorporated to Kingsland Bay RV Resort LLC and Jacksonville North St. Mary's KOA Holiday for the retail sales of malt beverages, beer, and wine. This property is located at 2970 Scrubby Bluff Road. This applicant has satisfied all technical requirements for consideration, so planning staff would recommend approval.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone here desiring to speak in favor of this transfer? Is there anyone desiring to speak in opposition? Seeing none? Moving on. Okay. Get a motion to adjourn the public hearing and reconvene the regular meeting, please.
Make a motion to adjourn the public hearing and reconvene the regular meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries. We're now back in our regular agenda. And you're still up, sir.
Yes, sir. Consider a request for a transfer of alcohol license from Michael Botkins and Campgrounds of America to Kingsland Bay RV Resort LLC. This property is located at 2970 Scrubby Bluff Road. Planning staff would recommend approval.
All right. Can I get a motion on this item, please?
Yes, sir, I'll make a motion, we approve this offer.
Second. We have a first and a second. Any discussion, comments, thoughts? Seeing none? All those in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Landon, there you are. You spent all the funds yet?
Not yet. Chairman, Commissioners, Eric Landon, ARPA Manager. I have before you a request to authorize ARPA funds to construct the new County Health Department. Just a little bit of a background. It was a countywide SPLOST 8 project that would consolidate St. Mary's Health Clinic, Woodbine Health Clinic, and the Department of Environmental Health. The new facility will be located adjacent to the hospital. And ARPA funds can now be used due to the new final rule. And at your last meeting, you took the standard allowance of revenue loss, which freed up funds for capital projects such as this one. And then the total project is 4.5 million. So with SPLOST, Health Department, WIC, and CDBG grant funding, we had a $1.2 million shortfall. So a team of us went to each of the city council meetings asking for their fair share based on population. And all three cities agreed and paid their portion based on census numbers. So that leaves a remaining balance of $386,600 to complete the funding for the project. So that is what staff recommends the county
So
contribute.
you're saying this would be our share of the same.
Correct.
Just a little further background on that. Whenever, Ms. Julie was applying for that CDBG grant, it was discovered that over the period that the construction costs had gone up considerably to 4.5, that, there was gonna be a shortfall. We thought we had it, till we didn't. In order to apply for that CDBG grant, we have to have commit for funding, or they would not even look at it. So we have gone and got those commitments from ourselves and the cities to move forward. So at this point, I guess we're memorializing that at this point. Gotcha. Does anybody got any question? Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to consider to use the ARPA funds to cover the remaining costs.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Good use of funds. It's gonna be right up there in near the hospital, near the red light, next to the old Paul's Clinic, where they're constructing the new, public health department building. Something that's in dire need of. All right, that brings us, to our reports.
There's no changes to the conference.
Mr. Howard. All right, this brings us to our, final public comment section.
Yes.
There's someone registered, you said, Ms. Bishop?
Father James Barnhill.
Father Barnhill.
First of all, let me say that I'm somewhat nervous because I'm used to speaking from a pulpit and not a podium. But I felt that I needed to come tonight based on some information that I learned this Good Friday. A little background. When I was in seminary, my wife and I spent a Christmas break at St. Mary's, and we fell in love with Camden County. I went back to the Episcopal Seminary in Pittsburgh with a tentative agreement to buy a parcel of land from Dwight McCullough and Serenity Farms. Over the years, we have added to that. We were blessed enough to build our retirement home in 2012. And so it was with great joy, a month before last, when I finished my final posting in Jacksonville to come to our retirement home. When we purchased the land, we did our due diligence. And we did find that there was Bear Scientific at the end of Harriet's Bluff Road.
There was what?
Bear Scientific.
Okay.
Which had Union Carbide in its title chain. And this was concern for me because when I was doing my Master's of Business Administration, Union Carbide was a must study for all MBA students at the American University of Washington in order to learn how not to conduct a business and guarantee the welfare of the communities in which you're going to be doing business. So before purchasing our property, we made sure that we were far enough away from the bear site to be outside the contaminant plume for groundwater. Fast forward to this past winter, when we learned that plans for spaceport were accelerating. And we were concerned because of what we knew. And so we were relieved and encouraged when we heard that the referendum, by something like 3-1, had rejected the proposal. Perhaps you can then understand my deep distress when, on our way to Stations of the Cross service this Good Friday, the Jacksonville Public Radio affiliate reported that Camden County Council had requested a judge to vacate the referendum, overturn it, so that plans could go forward for the spaceport, even though the people had very decidedly expressed their views. So I think I'm here tonight, Mr. Chairman, to ask you if it is true that this body has asked a judge to vacate the results of the referendum. On what basis has this been done?
Just to let you know, we don't get into dialogue back and forth, but I'll be happy after the meeting to sit down with me. I'll have county administrator with me and we'll.
Mr. Chairman, I don't understand. According to Robert's Rules of Order, having asked a question from the floor, the question remains to be addressed in this forum.
And with all due respect, I'm addressing it to tell you that after the meeting, we will be happy to have a discussion with you.
Why can't you answer the question now in this forum?
Because that is not the policy of how we conduct our meetings here.
All right. Thank you, sir. Then could I please request the clerk to note my objections to the fact that appropriate order has not been maintained.
Thank you, sir. Oops. Just lost my spots here. Hold on.
Additional public comment.
Yeah, I know it. All right, is there anyone else registered, Ms. Bishop? Is there anyone else desiring to address the board? All right, at this time, we're going to, I need a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and convene an executive session. Items that are exempt under OCGA.
Make a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and convene an executive session.
We have first and second. All those in favor? Motion carries. We shall return shortly, hopefully. Get a motion to, that's right, we don't have to do that. Well, no, we just gotta get a motion to reconvene.
Second.
All those in favor, tell me what to do. Oh, do we have a motion coming from the executive session?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve purchase of computer equipment for the Kent County Sheriff's Office.
All right,
Second.
got a first and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries. We have another one.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the renewal of contract for the computer software for the Kent County IT Department.
Second.
Got a first and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries. And I've also been instructed by Ms. Claire, everyone aware that the Citizens Academy is online now for applications to register for. The academy will start May the 7th, 5th. All right, May the 5th. And it is on the website now, the county website. You can sign up for it now between now and then. I don't know if there's any particular cutoff yet until she can't take anymore, I guess. But anyway, it's open now for those who are interested in it.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a first and a second. All those in favor? Motion carried. We stand adjourned. Thank y'all.